Hello again, here we are on a Tuesday morning to prepare for our quick sketch. Well, let's see how quick that will be. I'll try and do it as quick as possible. First of all, I'll grind the charcoal onto my sandpaper. So I'll give it a little bit of a dust, and that can be used with a stump or even with the sponge to spread it over, warm up the area, get a little bit of ambience, get a bit of middle tones. So here we are. Take some with the sponge and get the proportions roughly on the right place. This is the thigh, knee cup, calf. What is most important in this drawing is basically the movement and the proportion of the gesture of her legs. Here you've got the feet and thigh here, the roundness of the thigh and hip. And you've got the upper body, arm. Let me put the charcoal here so I can dip it close to the drawing. And the knee cup coming down here, and that area of the calf goes back here, and you got the the hip we are here, and that's a vertical line connects with the heel, hip. That's the body, or the axis actually, which goes something like this. Getting some dust and applying it is the breast, very close because she's leaning back basically. Sorry, I should have mentioned that, leaning back. Then you have the other elbow. You've got the portrait, the face, which is really close to the collarbone because she's looking towards us and looking down. Then you have the arm, upper arm, hands leaning back, portrait. Again, I'll try and be as abstract as I can with the portrait, because actually it is an abstract theme here, especially on this one. There you have the movement, then you have the angle here. This is important here, it's that angle here, which is it's her belly, where the belly is. You have the breast area, you have the rib cage, and that is, I'm dipping it constantly here, by the way. So I've got that on the easel at the top of the easel. Then you have the upper arm, face, hair, a little bit more emphasis on the hip. Then you have here the knee cup, that's the calf here. Then the knee cup is of course more rounded. Give a little bit more ambience here with those darks, bit of movement as well. Say that was let's say a nude sitting posing, you will have, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes maximum. So I'm trying to do that on this time. Actually, this sponge is quite useful. Never used to do that when I was at art school. Never used to do that, but it's actually very, very practical. So that's the rib cage. You've got the upper arm. As I said, the portrait is somewhere here. Then you have the chin, and she's looking towards the viewer. And a bit of darks around here. She's sitting on a sofa. which is bended like that, and you have a little bit of shadow here. Okay. Okay, so a bit more darks, especially down here where the crotch area is, darks where her right leg is, and leg and calf, but we don't see the leg, of course we don't see it. We see only the calf here, well, a little bit of calf, a little bit of the kneecap, which is quite flat here, and there is a bump where the bone structure is here. So then we have the shin of her left leg there, and we have the whole leg structure, sorry, feet structure of her left calf, shin, leg, if you like. There, a bit more dust, and then we have the bone structure here. That's where the calf is. That's where the leg / calf of a left foot. Then a little bit darker here on the crotch area. Coming back with some dust, charcoal dust here. There. And the hip is right up here, hip. Then you have the whole upper arm, which comes kind of like this. It's lowered. Then you have a bit of dust. Again, I'm dipping onto the dust constantly. And then you have the neck, head, but also neck, of course, although it's very little neck seen because of her perspective. And face, half of the face, because of the way that she's looking. You can see half the face in the dark and half in the light. Then you have the hairline. You got the hair here. And the upper arm, which goes right under here. So upper arm, it's a bit wider on that side. And then you have her breast, which is obviously attached to the torso, and the breast takes the side as it is in perspective, just moves down like this. Breast moves down here like that. Okay, and we have the dark sofa. We have here, she's sitting on the sofa, and the other side of the sofa, a bit of perspective that will make a nice cushion sofa here, turned that way. And you have, again, sofa. That gives a bit of atmosphere, so it's nice and then warming up the whole thing. And what I mean by warming up, it's a bit beige. So what I'm doing is to give more darks around her, more to get rid of the beige color of the background. And torso there. I think that was a bit too strong. Dark. So bring back the whole shin at the front. Bit of light calf here. There. And a little bit more of a shin here on the lower part of her right leg. hip, sorry, heel, and then you have the foot and the toes coming here, and the toes of her right foot. There. Okay, now it's time to add some lines to define. That's still, there's a very little definition at the moment, so let's define with a little bit of lines. You have the muscle here, you have the, we have, no you don't have, I have, we have here, that's where the breast here, which connects on the other side and then comes round and follows the torso. Then you have upper arm here, upper arm of her left arm here, then a little bit thinner because I've gone too wide, so thinner. Then the face doesn't have to be too detailed, but some basic form and shape. And then hair and hair around her forehead, more hair on our left or her right if you like. Let's define the shape of the face with the cheekbone. And the nose. Eyeline. Of course, I don't want her with eyes closed. A bit lower the nose. And upper lip and lower lip. And also, that went too far up. I'm talking about the skull, so lower the skull a little bit. Give a little bit more of definition of hair, darker hair. The neck is still there, but it's very light. So it's not a very dark shadow. Got the neck on this side. Hair comes here as well. Forehead. Bit of a light tonal value on the forehead. And elbow, which is here, and then moves right there to her left. Elbow a little bit. I think I've gone too far up with the elbow. Yes, it's high. It's a bit high, this elbow. So I need to bring it down a little bit. This one. So that looks shorter compared to this one, but this one is also in perspective. That's why it looks shorter, because it's leaning back. There we are. Bit of a darker tone. And not forget, she's wearing a dress. And the hip here, which is further out actually. It's high, it's further out. So the hip and the bone structure moves out here. And as I said, we have the cushion here. She's sitting on a sofa. So it's cushioned by the sofa and very soft material. And we have that's a nice area of her thigh, which is all in the dark, but then to make it not too dark, we need to keep in mind that not to darken it too much, but it's still darker than what I actually have at the moment here. So not too dark, but still darker. And then here, the sofa. That's the sofa here. Sitting on the sofa. So the cushions are moving. They've been from her weight, then taking that shape from her weight. And darker tone. That's it, darker. That's the other cushion on the other side of the sofa. And that's coming towards us in perspective like this. And there. And give her a little bit of a darker tone. I'm trying to push that back, actually. And then with the brush or sponge, if you like, get those darks going a little bit more, and that's perspective as well. So that hand moves there. Lower the head a little bit more. Push those darks off the sofa and then blend them with the body. Makes more of a create now ambience, as I said earlier on. So it's helpful. And that cushion comes back here, and then those darks can be added and worked and given or blended with the body. Then you have the movement, round movement of her torso and the kneecap there. Okay, let's give a little bit of, take some highlights off with a putty rubber, like we always do. I mean, the most important or the most revealed flesh on her upper arm is here. Here, and moving upwards, that defines not the muscle but her flesh. Then you have the knee, the elbow, there, elbow, and define. Instead of working on her lower arm, I will do a line which will define the lower arm, but not in the lower arm itself. I will define the background and a little bit of bone structure here, which is down here, the bone structure, the elbow, obviously. And then you have actually the line or the movement is like this. It's not outwards, it's inwards. That's it. And a little bit of highlight here. Okay. And very important is to highlight the kneecap here and softly blend that with the rest of the thigh, the upper part of the thigh, bit of calf here, calf, and the shin itself, which is almost lost there. So bring the shin down up to the feet itself, and then you have the heel. I need to define the heel, and that comes back to the foot itself. And I cannot see the toes here. They're all blurred. No, they're hidden, obviously. So I cannot see the toes, but I can work a little bit with this shin here. there. And maybe not as bright there, but kind of less dark, and getting rid of that here as well. I'm going too dark here, too quickly, too dark there. And create a little bit of with a charcoal, a bit more rounded on the sheen, on the kneecap here, there. And the sheen itself, and the heel, and then you have, that's where the other foot leg continues here. Right here you have the other heel, a bit darker, and the toes of this, of a right foot are here. So I can see the toes of the right foot, but not of her left foot. That's okay. I mean, I don't have to do all of them, but you cannot ignore them either. So you have to be careful not to record everything you see. Doesn't have to be that. Try to do it as quick as possible, but at the same time you cannot ignore all of them. And get some dust going. So grind some dust, and getting back to my sponge here, and keep moving and adding some darks here. Again, don't want to stop to the sheen and then get that sheen or get those lines and create the sofa, end of the sofa, which is right behind the foot. You have this, well, the throne. It's not the sofa, but anyway, you can say it's sofa, or you can, doesn't matter really. And then we have the soft sponge of where she's sitting, standing, sitting, relaxing, and the other torso here. A bit of forehead. Again, I've darkened the forehead a little bit more than I intended to. It doesn't really matter. It's not a portrait. Now you have the hand, which is her left hand, and here as well, right here, and a little bit of a volume of her right breast there, and the torso itself. Torso, and her left breast here, which again complements the rib cage. It's turned as a rib cage turns. And the hand, there, it's turned back. Now let's give her a little bit more attention to the portrait. That's the nose, obviously. You have the light area, you have the light area on the forehead. And let's take that lower arm a bit even lower to go right on the top of her hairline, and lower her hairline, of course, because the skull looks quite high and big and doesn't match with the rest of the body. So here we are. And let's give her that powerful hip here. There. And we have the sofa. Coming towards us. We have that area here coming towards us too. And the foot itself, because again it's left a little bit unattended here, a little bit more attention to the foot. Then you have the heel right there. So I'm cutting that line that I've done earlier on. But that line creates ambience as well. So it's important, in my view. And then you have the kneecap. And then you have the thigh itself, which goes there on that direction. And then the upper part of the kneecap and the thigh itself, which is a bit further up there. But that continues and follows the dress. And a little bit off with my finger, instead of using the putty rubber, that will be, it's a softer shadow. It's in shadow, but it's soft. So it's something like that. That's where the hip is. And the bone structure, which is underneath. And then you have the thigh itself, which comes something like this. And not to forget to give it a little bit of a highlight with my charcoal. Sponge and softening like this. There. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'll see what I can do to it later on. Or let's see, tomorrow morning. Let's see what can I add to it, if any. Okay, with different lighting now, so let's continue with our model. Bit more on the portrait, just a little bit, not much, just to get the shape of the face right, because it's gone too wide on that side, on the right. I can zoom in if you like. So let's work on the face a little bit more. Get the just to get the proportions right, to get the nose straight, to straighten up the nose. A little bit of forehead, a bit lighter. The eyes. She's looking straight actually, but I can make it with eyes half closed or just looking at us straight on. The neck here, and some highlight on the dress. Don't want to use my putty rubber because the putty rubber will be too bright. So using my fingers instead of the rubber, putty rubber, and then get the movement of the arm there a bit more to the right, on my right, or her left if you like. Some highlight on the hair, although she does seem to have black hair, but yeah, its highlights will be hard on black hair to see. And a bit of chin, and get the movement of the face, the shape of the face. Well, not the face doesn't move, it's the shape. And so get that a little bit less wide, a bit more jaw here, jawline, and you have the chin, jawline, and hairline here. Okay, so a little bit of a line to define the hairline. These lines are strong and they're very sharp. I'm gonna get close, get my sponge, and then fix those lines because, as I said, they are quite strongly. They're not addressing the movement or the softness of her flesh tone. And then that hand here, the arm, as I said, needs to be a movement of outwards and not inwards. So there you are. an outwards movement. So a movement of that sort. Then you have the shoulder, and then I need to readdress this upper arm here. Lower it down here, there. That will give a better movement and explains more about what's going on here. And that seems a bit long, but it is long. She looks a quite tall person by the judge of her arms. You can see sometimes from the arms it's just about, could be almost like a 6 foot person. And then breast here, that's as I said, I was thinking using my fingers instead of using the putty rubber. And jumping from one thing to the other. Actually, that's a good thing to work on the hair. And as soon as you discover something wrong with the body, you can tackle that. And that's what I've discovered. Went to the body, looked at the arms, which are quite long, and then readdress that. Forehead, hairline there, and the hands themselves, they're looking upwards. The wrist, palm, and the other hand is just laying and is supporting her left arm. So her right hand is supporting her left hand. Okay. Now let's get a sponge on the portrait and lose those highlights, make them softer. Softer means getting with the sponge as I've done, and then come in and highlight just where the light, the projector, she looks to be on a studio, is being lit up by a projector. So you got the light hitting on the left, illuminating from the left, which will go to the nose, chin, and then jaw here. There. So got somehow the width of her face in the right direction, or corrected the proportions of the face. Then you have the arm, the long arm, as I said earlier on. That I can use a little bit of putty rubber here. It doesn't have to be with my fingers. That's a bit a lighter area, so I can lit up compared to my left. It's her left, or it's my right. Let's put it this way. So this arm that I'm working now, which is her left arm. So let's make a differentiation. Make it brighter. Make that brighter than this. Although that should be brighter because that's where the light comes. The studio light illuminates. But I'm making a conscious choice here just to make it be a bit innovative here with this hairline. And then having her hip and belly and the breast, just highlight a little bit of highlight on the breast here, just to so it follows the torso, it follows the thorax here. And a bit more rounded, and have that area here and all that softness, and then just I feel that needs to go a little bit darker. The whole thing needs a bit darker. It's just too bright for me. And also, if I darken this area, that means that if the light is coming this way, you have the shadow of her body on the sofa. There, bit of light here, bit of reflected light from the sofa on her bum here, and then some reflected light from this area of the sofa to her thigh here. There. And well, that's it really. It's not much. Don't want to continue a lot more because it was supposed to be a quick sketch, but it's not. And one thing I need to fix here is that I've gone too far up with this, where the cuff and so I'm needing to move that line down as you have the cuff and the thigh, where they're separating here, and that's a clear separation of cuff and thigh. Then you have the foot itself, which seems to be big, but it is big because it's been from perspective. As we see it in perspective, then obviously you can see this foot a lot bigger, or substantially bigger than in proportion to the rest of the body. But that's because, again, we see it in a perspective way. The perspective is influencing the way that we see the large part of her body, which is her foot. As we are looking down and we're looking, the camera is placed, the horizon is somewhere here, and then obviously as the camera is looking down, it's looking up on her, but we're lower, then this area becomes much bigger, quite big, much bigger. And also I'm thinking now of doing something which I don't normally do on the sketches, but give her a little bit of, so pushing the upper body further back in perspective. I think it would be a good idea if I place some of that dark charcoal dust, place it into, and so to push back the whole thing. That's an experiment. Okay, and then just bring back some highlights. Just some highlights, bring back some highlights too. Again, to place more importance on here, down here, and push everything up there further back. Again, working in perspective, looking at the lower body, which is thighs, and then moving back the upper body, including the portrait. So some highlights here. A bit darker. The forehead. Touch of the nose. Mouth. Cheekbone. The other side of the cheekbone. I'm bringing them back with some highlights. But to be honest, I'll leave it at that stage. Don't want to work a lot more on the portrait. I want to be ghostly. So here we place our attention. Get some dust, charcoal dust, and place it back here. There, on the thigh. Here, and just put a bit of sunlight off here, and charcoal dust here to define her thighs, basically. and the calf here. Give a bit more of a warm up, as I said, to the paper, to get a bit darker, get those darks moving around, and some highlight of the sofa, then some reflected light back here on the thigh. And then the dress, which defines the thigh and the dress. Don't want to go too dark. Don't want to make a hole there. Just connect those places and spaces. I can give her that dark that is needed is here, close to the shin. And a general dark here is going to go too bright. There. Softness of the thigh. Okay. Getting back to the face, because the face, as she's looking towards us, you cannot completely ignore it, but I can bring up some highlights on the face. And hair highlights. With the mono 0, to be a little bit more precise. Hair highlight on the hair, shaping of her face, and the chin. And the elbow here. Give it a little bit of an anchor. That's an anchor point. Anchor point is in, so the eye doesn't float around here, so it just stops there, stops here, stops here, stops on those highlights. And these are important to keep. These are anchor points. There's an anchor on the boat that you don't let the boat float around. And you need those anchor points for the eye to be busy on that area. Where do I stop? Where do I stop here? Where do I see? What's most important? What is not important? And some darks here, which I'm not able now to put with a sponge, but I can just make a difference here. So that you have another anchor point here, an anchor point here dark, an anchor point here light, an anchor point here dark here, another one here, and the arm, where the armpit is. I can give some highlights for the dress, and so that's the dress here she's wearing. That's the dress on the other side. And some hip here. And as I said, the foot itself, which looks large because of perspective. It's a normal foot, but because of the way we're looking at her, they become bigger, they become more important than they actually, well, they are important, but they become bigger in size. They're very important when you do a figure. Now that foot now, let's not address this one because that doesn't make sense. It's just a corner here. But let's leave it at that. I mean, this will become your reference point. And this is her right foot. It's not defined because it's in the shadow. So let's make the left foot the definition, the defining point here. And a little bit of knee cup. And you have the shin here. There. Bit of hip, elbow, hands, and sofa. Don't want the sofa to become more important than the body, but it's a nice addition here to get those pillows here. So I don't want the sofa to be too dark or too bright, just to be a complementary of the dress, of the figure. It's nice sometimes to put more importance than the body onto the ambient that she's with or in. Gives a nice perspective as well. There. Okay, and let's stop it by defining the top of her hair. There. Okay, that's it for this time. See you on the next video. What's the date today? 4th of 1st 25. All right, see you on the next video. Bye.